So some of you will be happy about that. Aloha and Tashi Delay from Kauai Tibetan Buddhist Dharma Center here on the island of Kauai. We do this class every Thursday night from 6 to 8, and it's recorded and put on our website. I'm Lama Tashi. And tonight's class, which is all about shamanistic Lamaism, only tonight we've had requests to explain what are the 6 perfections. You know, we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the Lama, the deities, and the protectors, and use the 6 perfections in order to bring ourselves and all beings to understand our true nature, which we call Buddhahood. But we kind of skip over these 6 disciplines, which are the basis of being a Bodhisattva. And if you are a Bodhisattva in the Tibetan tradition, these six disciplines are absolutely the basis of all of the Sutra and Tantric practice. And actually, in the Tantric tradition, there are 10 disciplines. But the first 6, anybody can do. So if a person is practicing these 6 disciplines and takes refuge in the Buddha, the 3 jewels, the Buddha's teachings of those that practice, then that means that they want to become a mature human being. Now, everybody has their idea of maturity. And that's okay. But in Tibetan Buddhism, maturity means lack of judgment. And in order to bring your mind to that state of so-called enlightenment, you have to have a basis. And in Tibetan Buddhism, the basis is infinite. In other words, the basis can't be calculated. The basis is your natural mind. The natural mind is in union with the natural universe. The problem is, we have a drama mind also. So in our consciousness, we have these 2 so-called mindsets. In order to connect to your natural mind and reach maturity, maybe even in one lifetime instead of many lifetimes, the 6 perfections, or these 6 disciplines, are necessary. So that's going to be tonight's class. And when I explain the 2 natures of your mind, the drama nature, which everybody has, and the natural mind, which everybody has, but most people don't use it. They experience it, but they don't use it. They don't. It's too infinite. So I'm going to start by reading from a little excerpt from the Great Perfection, the book that describes the natural mind or points to it, from Milarepa. Now, Milarepa was not a monk. Milarepa was actually a lineage holder of the Tibetan tradition taught by Marpa. And when Milarepa became trained, which took many, many years under Marpa's guidance and Marpa's wife, the final aspect of his being became mature. That's how he became what we call a lineage holder. And I'm going to explain this state of maturity according to Milarepa's words. And it goes like this. In this practice of the Bodhisattva path, the ground of the path is the natural mind. And in Tibetan Buddhism, it is called the Great Perfection, or the Great View, or Maha Mudra. Maha means great, Mudra means position or view. This is the essential nature of things. It is the mind of all the Buddhas. It is the mind essence of sentient beings also. But it does not exist as something that has a color or shape, a center or edge. It is free from limitations and partiality. It is free from judgment. It knows neither existence nor non-existence. It is neither confused nor liberated. It is not created by causes nor changed by conditions. It is neither altered by wisdom of the Buddhas nor spoiled by the obscuration of us sentient beings. It is neither improved by realization nor worsened by confusion or delusion. This path we call Mahamudra is really no path. It's simply that which is to practice within what we call the ground Mahamudra, which is as follows. When settling the mind, settle without conceptualizing. When remain in position without distraction or movement. When practicing, practice without fixation. When manifesting, let manifest everything as the wisdom of your own natural mind. When free, practice as is natural freedom. It is beyond concept, and this fruition of Mahamudra is free from something that liberates, but it is also free from hope and fear. It is the exhaustion of concepts and phenomena. It is non-fixation, non-grasping, and non-judgmental. It is free from utterance and description, and thus beyond the conceptual mind of the drama world. The ground, the path, and fruition are to be practiced as one, under the guise of being a Bodhisattva, which is how I started. Before we go further, we'll take reference. In order to attain enlightenment for ourselves and limitless sentient beings, our mothers, we now all together take refuge and offer prostration. We go for refuge to all the glorious holy lamas. We go for refuge to all the yidams who are the deities gathered in our mandala. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who have conquered the mind and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all this supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. And we go for refuge to all the Dakas and Dakinis who are the protectors and defenders of the Dharma. All of these possessing the eye of transcending awareness. To the Buddha, Dharma, and this supreme assembly, we go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through merit gained from practicing the six perfections, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. Now, the first prayer is the altruistic motivation, which is unique to this path of the Bodhisattva. So I'll chant it in Sanskrit, and then together we'll chant the refuge prayer and the sixth perfection prayer of the Bodhisattva.
I'm wondering about the word refuge. Like it basically means like an understanding about this world. Like the reason why it's called refuge is because an understanding of this world as like being essentially
one big distraction.
One right, and then like okay, so we're
going. So you're taking refuge from that one big distraction.
Right. Okay.
Okay. This is an alternate way of being rather than distracted. That's what you're taking, which is in your mind. This is nothing out here in this world can help you.
It feels like it's kind of like a word like escape or like, you know, refuge.
Oh, no.
Like when you have like the word refuge is like when you have a punishment is due to you, so you go to a different place where you cannot be punished.
This is more like going under a tree to get out of the rain.
Right. Okay. Okay.
See, that's why we use the refuge tree with all the Buddhas and Lamas and everything like crows in the branches.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're down under the tree doing prostration with all our mothers and fathers. Mm-hmm. Like that. That's refuge. It isn't some place we're going to. I just read it isn't even a path. Mm-hmm. There isn't a goal because it's already in your mind. It's your other nature, mm-hmm. which is nice. One nature is not nice. The other nature is nice. You're taking refuge in the nice nature.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So I'm going to communicate this to the spirits with the altruistic motivation. That means nobody's left out of this refuge. Everybody is part of the refuge. That includes the spirits, which are very, very important. Tadam yoam namke tadam yampe semchem tamche judine jude jishi jengju info lachi kibardu. And we chant the refuge prayer. Valde lama dampanam lachastyo Yedam cheko dhyamasonam namachastuchyo Sanjay chomdene namachastuchyo Dampe shurnam namachastuchyo Kape Gendun Namachastuchyo Pavo Kandro Chochon Shudroy Chodishe Kishanam Dempanam Nachastuchyo Sanjay Shodam Chokki Chodam Chenchu Padu Lakti Chaptu Dagi Jinso Jipe Chodam Ti Suro Apenchurim Sanjay So we just chanted 3 different, completely different applications of prayer. The first one, the altruistic motivation, simply means that everything you're doing is for everybody else. Why? Because there's no such thing as separation. So that means all the good people, all the bad people, all the good spirits, all the harmful spirits, all the wild animals, all the domestic animals, all of that are called sentient beings. And the word sentient simply means that's how they operate. For us humans, the sentient part is 6-fold. So we have this Bodhisattva path, this altruistic motivation, these 6, what we call refuges, the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and then the 6 tantric refuges of the Lama and the 3, the deities and the protectors, symbols. Those 6 refuges are just a support, an outer support. The 6 disciplines are the inner support. The first 5 of these 6 disciplines are really for ourselves and everybody else. But the 6th one is to connect to the other nature of your mind, which is the end of the suffering of the drama world. It's a place that all of us already have in our consciousness, but people don't value it. They use it inadvertently when they have a near-death experience or their extreme physical activity or sexual activity, or even in meditation they may touch on it, but they don't use it. They don't see the value of voidness. They don't see the value of space, which is how you symbolize this other nature of your mind. And you must know that space is infinite. And it's not supernatural. It's the mother element. It's what the universe evolves out of with the other four elements, water, fire, air, and space. And all those elements are created out of light or patterning in space. And your body and everything in the universe is simply that. But when you apply this to your consciousness, the thoughts are the patterning of the space they come from. But that's inside. And that's hard to get a handle on. Because if you say, where does the thought come from? You can't find where your thought came from. And the thought comes up and it does a whole bunch of stuff, drama stuff, and then it goes away. And if you try to hold a thought, which is what meditation is all about, it's really hard to do because you have to be able to focus. Well, focus simply means you've got to stay present. Now, how do you do that in a world that's fully distracting you away from the present 24/7?
It's tricky.
It's tricky. It's really tricky. So this mind is tricky. Yes, it already has the antidote to all your pain and suffering and all of this drama distraction that's going on all the time, night and day in your dream.
The distraction is purposeful, maybe, or it plays on certain areas where there may be potential for growth, such as or potential for losing a fear.
It might
soul development.
You might think that. You might think that. That's the problem. That's the ultimate distraction. The thinking. Because as soon as your thought arises, it connects to something. Okay? It's connecting either to a concept or to a central outside existing something. Person, place, or thing.
Mm-hmm.
The thinking, as soon as the thought arises, carries a judgment that that thought is good or bad. Or that thought has value or no value. You just said that. All thinking is exactly like that. All thinking. All concepts. All forms of belief. That's the drama world. That's your distraction world right there. And because of the thinking, it's inside. But the thinking doesn't stay inside because of the body. You're in a body, so it has sensations to everything outside. So now you have two kinds of thinking. You have the thinking of the inner mind, and you have the thinking of the body's mind, the sensual connection. In a word, distraction. What are you distracted from?
A state of joy and bliss and observation and existing.
Okay, and how do you get to that? Stop thinking. Yeah. Abandon thinking. Ooh. Now there's a silence there. And the silence is a space. Because as soon as you abandon thinking, space appears. That's your other nature. But you don't value that. You value the thinking and all the judgment that arises with the thinking. It doesn't matter what you're thinking about. It doesn't matter inside stuff or outside stuff. But as soon as you start thinking, judgment. This thought is good because it has this and this and this. So that one thought takes you on a trip. One thought.
Mm-hmm.
You just did. You just told me one thought. And then you started to elaborate. Okay, that never stops.
Mm-hmm.
That elaboration will never stop. You'll never come to an end that way. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can make it supernatural, you can make it God, you can make it goddess, you can say divine, and this and that. But that's just more thinking. Now, the other nature of your mind doesn't do that. How can that be valuable? Because you've been trained from birth that this thinking is this is your survival trick.
Sure.
Yeah. But now we're coming along with this Buddhist stuff and telling you that it's counterproductive.
Okay.
Okay, so what are the 6 perfections of the Bodhisattva path? They're to help you slowly abandon the harmfulness of the thinking. Not abandon the thinking, the harmfulness of the thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the harmfulness of the thinking is as soon as you have a thought, immediately out of habit, you form a judgment. It's a predisposition. It's a karmic tendency, and you've carried this karmic tendency from previous life to this life, and if you don't solve it in this life, you'll carry it on into lives in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That karmic tendency, everybody has. So you're not alone in it. You don't have to feel like, oh, Jesus, I have a terrible problem.
No, I think this is for me. This is requiring sort of a drill down into because I feel there are different things phenomena that fall under the definition of thinking.
Yes, all phenomena is connected to thinking. All of it. Therefore, you have an infinite amount of distraction with your thinking. From what? From the judgment of all that phenomena. Constantly. Night and day. In your dreams, awake, dying, moving out of your body, getting another body, being a spirit, being an animal, being a human. 24/7. And you're not alone in it. There's an infinite number of sentient beings that are doing exactly the same thing you are. So you think it's okay. Okay, you think it's okay. And your parents and all your tutors and everybody you have is, follow to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're supporting that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Buddha came along 2,500 years ago, before Jesus, and told the Hindu nation it's not okay to have the caste system. The Buddha before you did not teach the caste system,
mm-hmm.
which today is the ruination of India. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
See, well, why? Because there's so many people. It wasn't too bad then. There was maybe 1 million people in India, in Buddhism. Now there's a billion. Okay, so here we are. Now the 6 perfections of the Bodhisattva path, the very first one is based on loving kindness and concern for the well-being of everybody else. It's called the Golden Rule in Catholicism and Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. You want to put it that way. But this basic concept has to be in place if you want to escape the pain and suffering part of thinking. And the pain and suffering part of thinking, it comes from the judgment of the thinking, not the thinking. Okay? So what we do to start off with is we have these 6 basic disciplines. The 6th one is to directly connect to the other nature of your mind intentionally, where there's no conceptual basis, where there's no judgment. That's called enlightenment. That's a mature human being right there. Okay, so if you go in front of, I'll give you a good example, the Dalai Lama. Okay, and you go up and you shake hands with the Dalai Lama. You're shaking hands with somebody that has no judgment about it. You might not be aware of that. But if you are aware of it, you'll experience voidness. Why? Because that's his sixth discipline. That nature of his mind he's fully connected to. Everything that he is doing, giving teachings or traveling or whatever he does, that's who he is. But he doesn't fixate on it. He doesn't identify with that as who he is. All the other religions of the planet, including Buddhism, identify with the religion as who they are. But in the Tibetan tradition, you don't do that. That's pretty hard to get your mind around. So you walk up to this guy, Dalai Lama, 85 years old, 4 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody home. Why is nobody home? Because he's not making a judgment. He's just there. It's just like, this is his mind training.
Right.
But the other 5 perfections are also there because they're the basis that got him to reprogram his mind so that the judgment call doesn't go along with all of his ability to know everything. And he does have a photographic memory. Okay. He does. Which is very valuable. I mean, if you want to do things in this world, it's good to remember everything that's important about what you're doing. Well, I don't have a photographic memory, but I'm still here. Everybody says you got to be a scholar, but I'm not very scholarly, and I'm still here. So I have good karma. But what the point being is, he's a living example of how to be without judging, but still thinking. So what are the 6 disciplines that got into that he is every day those, but he doesn't fixate on them. They're ingrained. The first one is loving kindness and concern for the well-being of others. It's called generosity. Okay, and all religions, hopefully, incorporate it. It's giving what's useful. It could be goods, it could be advice, it could be what we do, retrain the mind so you don't have any more pain and suffering. Okay? So that's 2 levels of generosity. One is the outer worldly one, and the other one is the inner development. So generosity is the first perfection of the Bodhisattva. And it's a 24/7 practice. So everything we do, from the time we wake up until we go back to sleep at night, is about giving. And we do it all kinds of different ways. We have a whole program. It's shamanism. It's not just giving to other humans, it's giving to the spirits and animals and so forth. Okay, so that's the first one. But the ultimate giving is to show people that they have this other nature in the mind where there's no concept, but it works. And how does it work? It's exactly like the cloud. It's exactly like what we do with computers. It's exactly like PayPal. It's exactly like cryptocurrency. There's something there, but it's not there. And it has infinite, uncalculable aspects. It's like a diamond that has uncountable facets. And we call it the wish-fulfilling jewel of the mind. Okay, so yes, we have living examples of it. We have the PayPal, we have cryptocurrency. You see, we have this in place already. We're doing this program tonight. It's going out to everybody on the planet. It's called net streaming. Zoom, we call it Zoom. How does it work? Does it have infinite potential? Yes. Why? Because it's all pervasive. It's global. Right. Anybody can connect. Does that mean they do? Well, we don't know. You know, when you go into PayPal, you don't know. There's nothing there. You enter a bunch of zeros and ones with the code and whatever, and it does what it's supposed to do, and the money shows up in your bank account. Nice! This works the same way. You're entering into a dimension of your mind where you have infinite potential, where the drama world of thinking is very, very constricted, very limited. To what? Whatever you're thinking about. It can be religion, it could be politics, it could be social programming, it could be sex, you know, it could be fixing something, it could be gardening, but it's restricted. The other nature of your mind, infinite potential. That means what you imagine, like with the PayPal when you enter the code, goes into that dimension of your consciousness, and let's see what happens. There's no judgment there. You're not saying, oh, this is good or this is bad. I'm just imagining it, and I have a reason. The reason is generosity. I'm being kind and considerate by doing this, but I'm not saying so-and-so has to have it, and this place it has to get some, and you know, this problem has to be fixed. No, none of that. You imagine and focus, you stay present, you go into that other nature of mind, which is exactly what the Dalai Lama is doing, and it doesn't matter who he's in front of. I saw him in front of the Senate of the United States. Okay. Amazing. And all he was there was to give them a blessing, and all he did was a 4-line prayer, which is what we say, may all beings be happy, free of suffering, established in bliss and equanimity. But he didn't start it with that. He says, the first line of the prayer I just chanted in Tibetan simply said, your thoughts create your world. Your thoughts create your world. That's all he said to him. Then the other 4 lines, what do you do about it? So you got to be really, really patient with your mind. Okay, now the next basis of this.
Is that generosity? Was that all generosity?
Hmm?
Were you just talking about generosity?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
the wish-fulfilling jewel of your mind is generosity.
No, the way to get to the wish fulfilling jewel of your mind is to have 5 perfections in place. The 6th one is the wish fulfillment jewel, which is the other nature of your mind. That one you have to do meditation and focus and the tricks. You have to, that's where the Lama comes in. The first 5 is to get you rolling. Okay, because most people don't give a shit about anybody else except themselves. True?
I hate to say it, but I think it's probably true.
I think it's probably true. I
I
watch.
hate to say it as well.
Right,
It's true.
right.
But I-
And I was that way,
Seems to be my experience.
you know.
Sad but true.
So, you know, here comes Scholar Ricochet, and bang, bang, bang. This I don't give a shit guy here. Tachi. Okay, so now you got generosity. Are you with me?
That's the first one.
That's the first one. The next one is you got to have a moral code that allows you to be okay with being interested in everybody else's well-being. Because that's the compassion. And that moral code is simply you cannot harm yourself, harm others, or the environment. That's the moral code. Then you must have ethics and good manners to go along with that according to what culture you find yourself in. If you go to Israel, whole different program about ethics and good manners. You go to Washington, D.C.,
But not harming is to all those people.
morality has to be based on harmlessness, non-violence. Because this world right now is at a point of total extinction with one factor. And it's called nuclear war. Okay? And all of these countries have nuclear weapons. So we're one little ticky tick. In fact, the nuclear clock has run out. That we all, 8 billion humans, face extinction on just that one factor. So the next one, this morality, ethics, and good manners, is no harm to self, no harm to others, no harm to the environment, which a nuclear bomb completely makes it like PayPal. It has infinite potential to decimate all life on Mother Earth. That doesn't compute. So what is the answer? Nonviolence. Well, that's the number one moral code that everybody, well, at least the Bodhisattva, has to follow.
No harm. That goes back to no harm.
Yeah, which means nonviolence. And then wherever you are, as you move around in this world, you have to have good manners and ethics, so that you're not disrupting or harming the environment you now find yourself in, or the beings in that environment, including yourself. But it goes a little further than that. Because the other nature of your mind doesn't have that kind of judgment. So if you want to be really moral, you just go into the other nature of your mind where there's no judgment. Then morality, ethics, and good manners are obviously only for everybody else. You don't have a judgment about it. Okay? So as I go through these 6 perfections, keep this thing of non-judgment as the ultimate nature of that discipline. Okay? Because the 6th one is that. Where are you going with these 5? The 6th one. The next one is patience. This is really hard. Why? Because everybody else has a judgment opposite to you. Their judgment is all about them being happy. Fuck you. Okay? I mean, it's our code in America. It's called individualism. Okay, so patience. But patience is also the ability to focus your mind in meditation and understand that the real nature of your mind is this non-judgmental nature, which is clear.
Patience is also the antidote to anger.
It's the anger to all emotional.
Especially anger.
Yeah, but anger comes from a judgment call that that's bad. And you have aversion to that. And aversion becomes anger, hatred, rage, psychosis, and violence. Okay, so that's the 3rd one, patience.
Patience means holding back any sort of defense mechanisms or any sort of things that arise that, in terms of what you feel might have been your intention, and
It's a reaction.
bringing out a certain situation.
Yes, it's a reaction. And these reactions or tendencies are subliminal. They're called emotional. And you carry these from one life to the next. It's called karma. The karma is just the tendency. Everything you say, think, and do ends when you leave the body. All that which you accomplish this life, it's in the past, doesn't go forward. Okay, none of it. The only thing that goes forward is these emotional afflictions, these tendencies. They might be good tendencies, they might be bad, harmful things. But they go forward with you. And they're in your consciousness and they're subliminal. And they arise when somebody calls me a liar. Because my whole program is about truth. Two kinds of truth. The relative truth, the way everything really is, relatively. And the absolute truth of how it is according to the universe. And so we have the relative and the absolute truth. Both of these are in your consciousness. And so if you're just like me, wanting everything to be absolutely true all the time, somebody comes along and says, you're a freaking liar. It pushing my buttons, that anger immediately arises. I can see it. I can feel it. It's really weird. Where's my patience? Where's my loving kindness? Where's my morality and empathy? I'm harming myself. But I have a handle on my consciousness. I'm a meditator. I'm a sixth perfection Bodhisattva. See? And you come along and call me a creep. Well, blah. Get it? And here I am, this Lamatashi guy. What do I do with that? What do I do with it? Abby sees it. Abby sees it happen all the time. What do I do with it?
With your anger?
Huh?
With anger?
No.
When somebody else is angry?
No, mine. Not somebody else's. Somebody else's is easy to deal with.
You dissolve it
And go to avoidance.
and go to sleep.
Go to take the anger to avoidance. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't waste it. That takes training. That's
But you don't even vocalize anger back
no,
ever.
no, not necessarily.
That's so interesting. I was thinking, maybe in terms of transmuting something like an anger or a judgment, transmuting it to compassion, say, or something positive. But you just kind of take
You
it
just
and,
shift it.
exit out.
Yeah, you should. Well, you use it, but you use it in such a way that there's another aspect of shamanism where anger is used, and that is when you deal with the nasty spirits, which are 90% of the universe. Okay, you got to show them anger. You cannot feel the anger, but you got to show it.
Wrathful.
You got to be wrathful. You got to be so bad that they're intimidated. Okay, now that takes time. But that's another aspect of shamanistic practice.
Show it.
It's all called all
There's
kinds.
many. That's one of them. One of them.
Yeah, that's one. We have tricks. And now the tricks come in. Okay, so that's number 3, patience. Number 4, we have generosity, we have morality, ethics, good manners, we have patience. Now we're going to diligence, perseverance. That means you keep with these first 3, but you're going to move into spiritual practice because 90% of what you do in shamanism is with the spirit, not with humans and not with animals. Spirit, 90%. Okay, that's shamanism. That's what the Hawaiians did, that's what the American Indians did, that's what all the tribes of the planet did. Up until a few hundred years ago, when things started to get weird.
What does that have to do with diligence?
Practice.
Oh.
Number 5. Number 5 is meditative practice. Now, meditation is really simple to explain. Focusing the mind and using the imagination. Do people that meditate do that? Do they use the imagination?
Or not necessarily.
Nuh-uh, they don't.
Most don't.
They use the meditation to go to a state of peace and completely escape the mental process of the infinite potential of their own mental ability, which is the imagination. And without that, nothing happens. You can't get out of this island, off this island, without using your imagination. Okay, so the fifth practice that goes along with generosity, morality, patience, perseverance is meditation using focus and the imagination. This is shamanism. Now, once you've got that down with the guidance of a meditation master, then the sixth one is, what do you do at the end of the meditation? What do you do with these emotional afflictions as they arise? If you let them out, bad karma. If you stuff them, you're going to get sick. Or you're going to have an accident. All of them. You gotta use them skillfully. Which means isolate the emotion just like you isolate cryptocurrency, PayPal, net streaming, isolate it. No subject, no object. You put it out there in an infinite pattern of space. That's the natural mind. And in the natural mind, in its infinite potential of space, it is exactly like the way the universe creates everything. Everything that you see with telescopes or electron microscopes or whatever, as small as you want to make it, as big as you want to make it, that's the way space works.
So how do you isolate an emotion?
Take it to voidness. Take away the subject. What's the subject? Hi. Hi. What's the object? You. Whatever's pissing you off. Right. What caused that emotional tendency to? You know, was it a beautiful woman and maybe you get an erection?
That's negative.
You see?
Doesn't that involve relaxing with that emotion and it's looking at it in a relaxed fashion and that resolves from there?
Yes, if you practice meditation using the imagination and keeping yourself present, which is called focus. Yeah. With the guidance of a teacher, not necessarily doesn't have to be a lama. The lamas are the best at it because that's all they do. And you can identify with what I'm saying because of our relationship. Go back 10 years. She just went, ooh. Take some. And anybody that's taking notes, in some of the refuge prayers, they actually say these 6 disciplines: generosity, morality, patience, perseverance, meditative focus, and voidness, or what they call insight. Now, insight means it's already in you. You have to see it. Insight is the nature of your mind, where the thoughts come from and where they go. The problem is we're not aware of the thoughts. We're not watching our thoughts. We're not watching. I mean, it's bad enough we're not watching our thoughts, let alone we really don't care where they came from, and we really don't care where we go, because we don't believe in karma. Cause and effect. Everything in this universe is the cause and the effect of that cause. And those causes for us are these life-to-life sequential arrangements of our tendencies for emotional affliction, which are connected to our thought. Without awareness, you're no better than an animal. In fact, if you are a meditator and you go on the mountain and meditate, all you're doing is spreading your shit around the mountain.
Literally.
You see, yeah, you're out there in nature, you're connected, all that outside stuff, la la land, beautiful. Look at the mountains, look at the trees, look at the sun, look at the rainbows, look at the sky, look at the birds, waterfalls, get me? Beaches. Wonderful. But what about your emotions? You go back into town and the next thing you know, somebody didn't make your coffee right. Or they don't have any coffee, which really overshadows. So this sixth one is your safe zone. Yes, it's a part of the first five. But unless you really practice those first five and accomplish them, the sixth one remains kind of etheric or transparent, not apparent. And yes, you can be in a group of meditators and all of them are going into this state of Mahayana Mudra after they do their wuji shamanistic practice, and then they all say it's dissolved into voidness and they're sitting there non-judgmental. But you don't have a clue what they're doing. They're just not doing anything. They're just sitting there like dummy. So, a bunch of lamas come along, which this book has from Shakyamuni Buddha down to the present, and teaches you about clarity. Clarity is a state of awareness where you're present, but clear of the emotional judgment of thinking. It doesn't mean you're not thinking, it just means you're not judging your thoughts as they arise. You're not letting the thought carry you into a drama. Okay? That's the end of the sixth perfection. That's the accomplishment of the sixth perfection. Now, why do we do sutra? Why do we practice Tantra?
So voidness and natural mind is the sixth one, which is the accomplishment of the
Of the Bodhisattva.
Okay.
Okay, so now the Bodhisattva has reached a state of maturity. Yes, peace is a part of it. Yes, all those five. He's a good meditator. He knows how to rest in voidness. When the emotions arise, he knows how to deal with it. Why do we have the Sutra and Tantra? That's an extension of those six. And very, very few humans on the planet today can move into this path beyond the sixth perfection of the Bodhisattva. They just cannot do sutra practice. I'll read you a sutra and give you an example. This sutra is so that you understand everything that I just said tonight. I'm going to read this sutra. And if you practice this sutra, you will understand everything that the lamas are teaching. What's it called? Manjusri. Okay, now this is a short Manjusri. This is a sutra. And it goes like this. When a bodhisattva is developing, it is called bodhicitta, which means the bodhisattva's mind and body are maturing. It's called bodhicitta, and there are two of them. The body, which is connected to everybody else in the environment, and the mind, which is connected to the universe. Those are the two. The universal one is like space. The other one is the drama world.
Mhm.
Now that's where the compassion of the first bodhicitta arises. Because if you don't have concern for the well-being of every sentient being, then you don't understand how much they're suffering more than you are. Every single one of them. That animal, Ringo, looks perfectly peaceful. Okay? But that animal is suffering 1,000 times more than I am. Why? Because it's an animal. It's instinctual. It can't change. It's stuck. And spirits are the same way, whether they be in heaven or hell or whatever kind of spirit. They're just like that animal. And most humans are stuck. They cannot change.
Mhm.
You can talk to them like we're talking tonight for 1,000 years. No progress. They'll just be as however they think they should be. Think they should be. There's the compassion. And when you know this, and you take that to heart, then everything you do is from your heart. And you have to be really patient because this could take millions and millions and millions of lifetimes.
A lot of lifetimes.
For one of your lovers to come around to be at least a bodhisattva, to at least practice the 6 disciplines of being a mature human being. It could take them millions of years. So you have to have really a lot of patience. See? You cannot expect people to do this in one lifetime. You just can't do it. They don't have the ability, they don't have the inclination, they don't have the leisure time, and they don't have the support.
So, I have a question, maybe unrelated, but like all these spirits that have always existed, have always will continue, will come into existence, will continue to exist. So I wonder about like if they're continuing to live, they continue to come into new lifetimes and new existences, so that they all have new chances for growth in some way or whatnot. You know?
Every single life.
Right. So it's like there's a place where someone can know everybody, you think, can have a familiarity with every single soul that exists.
That's a Buddha. That's another 4 more levels above the Bodhisattva. Now you're talking about a Buddha. Now you're talking about a totally mature human being. I was just talking about an ordinary mature human being.
Ordinary mature.
Now if you want to know a Buddha, go stand in front of the Dalai Lama.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
it's very interesting because my train of thought was sort of like along the lines of, if I'm looking at someone who's having, you know, who I look at as like not enlightened, not fulfilled, in pain, or something like that, you know, so I can have, if say I'm in a condition where I feel like I'm enlightened relative to this person, and I feel compassion, so I feel like I can sort of contain this particular soul in my soul because I have a sense about, you know, so
you have
awareness.
So, yeah. So it's all about awareness, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have awareness.
Yeah.
How many other people do you know have your awareness? Come on.
I don't know.
Not very many. They're not sitting in this class. Your awareness has brought you to this. This is not ordinary awareness. We're pulling with the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we've only touched on it with the first 6 perceptions of the Bodhisattva. We're only bringing ourselves to a state of maturity.
Mm-hmm.
But what about everybody else is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the next 4.
Mm-hmm.
The next 4 disciplines. We got these 6 down. Okay. And I've been practicing these 6 since 1977, once I found out of them. The very first thing my teacher, the first day he opened up my mind, showed me I could do anything I want if I used my imagination. So I tested that for 3 days and it worked. Okay, so I knew he was right. Then the next day he teaches the 6 perfections, just like we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then he says, at the end of the day, there's 4 beyond these 6. There's 4 things. And he says it's called the path of skillful means. Well, isn't what we're doing with the first 6 skillful? Oh, yeah. Very. But this is an advanced skillful means. Sutra. Okay, which the Buddha taught. Took, 40, 50 years, walk around, all he do is a bunch of sutra and a few tantra. But he also taught the nature of mind which connects the sutra and the tantra tradition, which is avoidance. That's the 6th perfection that we're talking about already, which means non-judgmental mind. It doesn't mean anything else other than that. It just means if you take the judgment call out of everything that you say they can do, you're a bodhisattva, a mature human being. And you can, from that, you can relate to everybody because they're not doing that. And you know that. That's your knowledge. That's your awareness. And then you can incorporate your business or your love life or whatever with that. That's the simplicity of being a mature human being. You don't want to make this a big, complicated thing that you've got to go out and memorize 4,000 texts,
Mm-hmm.
Or this little sutra, which is only 2 pages. You don't have to memorize it because it's only based on 2 things. The nature of your mind is that everything is patterning in light. Everything. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
This. Okay, that's the energy of the universe. You want to be able to use that energy skillfully. So how do they do it? Okay, you reprogram your mind with the sutra. And you at least enter into the idea with the sutra that everybody is already enlightened and in a pure land called like a heaven, like what religions teach. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. But we take it a step further, and what we say is, using the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha is a wish-fulfilling jewel. We enter into the path of skillful means of the Lama and the peaceful and protector deity. We not only take refuge in the 3 jewels, but we also take refuge in these 3 aspects of the Lama's mind. By the merit of doing this, we reach the 6th level of the Bodhisattva. The simplicity of this is that all sentient beings can do this. Okay? And that includes all the 6 realms of rebirth, which is the motivation of our compassion. It's the reason for taking refuge. In this refuge, the obeisance, the refuge to the Guru, the protector, in this case is Manjushri. Manjushri is a two-armed deity of the path of skillful means that simply allows one to completely understand why he's doing the 6 perfections and why he wants to understand how to take care of everybody. That's it. You got to understand. You have to have knowledge. So when you do that, the Manjushri has the sword. Okay, now the sword is to cut through the ignorance of the I, existing separate from everybody else, because that's not true. Okay, so there goes the ego, there goes the soul, there goes all this idea of heavenly existence, and you know, you're going to be a 1%er and all that. You cut through that. Then the other aspect is the sound of knowledge that everything is simply an energy program. It's simply patterning of light throughout boundless space, your own body included. So when you do the sutra, you become Manjushri, you become this body of light that knows everything and how to use it. And that's what this whole prayer is. And it ends up with this. It says, when you have fulfilled this aspect of your consciousness, it illuminates the darkness of your own mind, allowing you to be intelligent in the wisdom of knowing your mind and how to use it. That's it. Om Arapasa Nadi Soha is the mantra that accomplishes it. And this seed soul, now in this path of skillful means, you've got to know this stuff. The medicine Buddha has a seed soul. Chenrezig has a seed soul. Tara has a seed soul. Buddha Aksobhaya has a seed soul. What is the seed soul? It's the sound of the patterning. Everything resonates. This is resonating. It's resonating a color, isn't it? It's resonating a shape. What is it? The block. But this block symbolizes earth. So now you've taken this simple nothing and made it into what we call earth. So earth is all pervasive. Earth is the bones in your body. Earth is the food you eat. Earth is what you're standing on. So this isn't just a block. This is a symbol. And the symbols you have to train is how you train your imagination. Without the symbols, the imagination is just la la land. And Manjushri is, why do you want to understand this? Is because it changes out here. You become a magician. Now you can really be effective. You're not just a mature in your own right, Bodhisattva. Now you can change it out here. Now you can garden with the help of the spirits. And you don't have to pick up a shovel. It's called sustainable agriculture. The worst thing you can do is dig in the ground. Why? Because you chop worms. So the new sustainable agriculture is no-till agriculture. And it's working. But what's nice about it is you don't have to dig.
That is nice.
I don't wear my head. I used to have calluses for the nap. Pick and shovel guy, you know. And I had to carry those tools wherever I went to do what I had to do.
That's number 8.
Well, you saw that was number 7, didn't you? Number 8 is now you want to incorporate the spirit.
Number 7 is the sutra.
Peaceful deity.
Peaceful deity.
Peaceful deity to get your mind reprogrammed so you know your mind and know how to use it to do something out here. It starts inside in your imagination and your focus, but you project it out here. That's called the path of skillful means. And you got to have a seed cell because everything vibrates. And that gets the ball rolling. That'll take you back to voidness. See that circle around it? That's nothing but light. That's nothing but an energy symbol. But it changes with what deity aspect of this wish-fulfilling jewel you're using to accomplish what you need to accomplish. That's what I'm trained in. 40 months of that.
It's kind of like the combinations of a safe. It seems so good, because it opens the door.
It opens and closes the door.
Yeah, to that whole.
It opens it up, okay, you do this. At the end of doing that, you close the door, go back to space. Do not fixate on any of this. Do not identify as any of this as who you are. Or now you're calling Buddhism a religion, and it's not. Religions are restricted thinking. They lead to war.
Religion is what is something that has to, in order for it to, a concept to exist, it has to be in contrast to what exists outside, like an outside, inside, or separate. So, yeah, my sense is like, even Judaism, right? Like I came from Judaism, and I grew up sort of like there's a very, like it's just a very essential narrative of reality. It doesn't have anything to do with like us versus them. It's just like, hey, this is reality.
Correct.
And then later on you go and you're like, who are they? Oh, those are not Jewish people. Yeah. Then like later on, there's things.
The judgmental mind is the basis of most Buddhists. You go to Thailand, you go to Sri Lanka, you go to Burma. It's their politics.
Right.
And they're killing people with that religion.
Many religions.
Millions of people.
So I think the word religion is misconstrued because, like, if we're using the word, we're using the word religion basically to refer to mainly sort of like the three monotheistic things, but I feel like it's like I was just saying, it's any form of thought that has us viewing another group of people, basically. That there exists some other category of people.
This is a religion.
Yeah.
But without it creating a place to go. This is a religion, but the place, we don't fixate on it. We don't identify with it as who we are. As soon as we do a sutra practice, at the end of the sutra practice, you just asked what the 8th level was. We dissolve it into voidness, which was the 6th level of the Bodhisattva's training. That goes with this path of skillful means. If we go to the 8th level, which is what she asked about, now we're going to take this idea of symbols and incorporate it to subjugate spirits that make our life hell. And they do.
So that's a good skill. I mean, I would sign up for that class. For sure.
That's number 8. Okay, but you got to get that evolves from the peaceful.
You have to have a base.
You got to have a base. So the 6 perfections are the Bodhisattva mature.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Bodhisattva moves into the path of skillful means with the peaceful deity I mentioned, Manjushri. Actually, we start with the Chenrezig or Tara. Okay, either one of these. Because there's 100 of these practices.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of those has a complementary elemental symbol that makes 200. And when we get all done, we got 2,000 of these. And if you go to Honolulu, they're all on the wall. They're all printed in gold and text and wrapped and they're stuck in the wall. So on this side, you got all the sutras. And on this side, you got all the tantra. And then there's a little space in between. All they do is, how do you get clear of all that crap? How do you get clear of all the need for all those sutras and all that time? Out of all that knowledge and all that insight? How do you get clear? That's why I started the class with this. The simplicity of it is it doesn't exist. This is a movie. Your mind is a projector. And it wants you to think that this table, which I can put my hand through, but why should I do that? That's not going to influence
Oh, come on, show off.
No, I did that already. It's an energy. It's all about energy. It's all about light and space. And if you can confine it down to that, when you get to the 6th level, where are the spirits? They're inside of you. They're in the food you eat. They're in your car, they're in your clothes, everything. They're everywhere, from the center of the earth to as far as you want to be. Everywhere in the universe. But where did these freaking spirits come from? Us. That's how long we've been around. We've filled this universe with these emanations of our ancestors. They're our lovers, they're our fathers, they're our mothers, they're our teachers. You have to have compassion for them, even though they're just antagonistic as hell towards you.
Your ancestors?
Yes, you have a debt with them.
You owe them something.
Yes, you sure do. And some of them want to collect. You know the worst is your own mother, father, friends, and relatives. Your own lovers and friends. They're the ones that are.
Sure.
And if you mess them up, you got a debt. So there's 2 things that come forward. Your debts to your ancestors, which are the spirits, and the animals. Ringo, probably one of my lovers from a past life. Probably my mother. That's a nice little dog. You get it? And your tendencies. And you start to find this out when you go into your own mind and you start to experience infiniteness, infinite sentient beings, infinite space, infinite light, infinite energy, infinite potential, infinite atoms, infinite phenomena. That way and in the other way. Electron microscope goes right into substance. And as soon as it gets in there far enough, the substance disappears. Then you have PayPal. You can make things out of that. This is where you're going with this. You're going into a phenomenon of infinite potential with your mind. You got used to it with the 6 perfections because they apply to infinite sensory being. The 6th perfection itself is infinite space, the energy program. So you get used to that. Then you can say, okay, we got all these symbols we'll use to pacify everybody we have karma with around us. So we start doing these practices. We do them in Dharma centers. We do them on the stupa. We got all, like anywhere. You can do them anywhere. Here in this house. But when you get to the 8th one, the 8th level, now you have to have a code to go with what you're imagining. And this code has to have been in place for a long time so the spirits know you're following their program, not your ego program, how you would like it to be. See, the 7th level is how you...
Compassion. Are you talking about?
Yeah. The 7th level is how you'd like it to be. That's la la land. That's the sutra. I'd like to know everything. Okay, so I do Omar Bhata Nadi Soha. Okay, so now I know everything. Big frickin' deal.
Kind of fun.
It's a stage.
Okay, but now you want to know how to do everything and make the spirits on bring the spirits on you. Okay, so now out here we have a world full of spirit-mongering humans. Witchcraft, Hinduism, Judaism, Catholicism. With
Judaism?
Jews are really good.
Oh, Judaism.
Judaism. What do you call it?
I said Judaism. You were saying Judaism, like
No, not Judaism. Judaism. No, not that. You went to American Indianism. See, so you got all these isms out there working with the spirit world with their own ideas of how these spirits should be doing something for you.
So what has to be there?
Compassion. Right? It has to come from your heart. And the spirits have to know that. It's not coming from your head. It's not coming from a book. It's not dogmatic. It's an oral transmission that's been carried on for centuries. That's why we chant in Sanskrit, because that's the original conveyor.
So what would the spirits do if you didn't have compassion? They would respond.
Mess you up, baby.
Okay,
Spirits carry. There's only one animal worse than spirit on this planet. Mosquito.
I knew you didn't see that.
They kill more humans than all the other animals on the planet put together. Okay? They're the closest one to house spirits are.
They're little Dracula.
Now they're killing people in the United States. Fast, too. Good bite, 1 or 2 days, brain goes, you're
Oh,
done.
yeah. They have that on your side.
Well, they had it in Africa, it took out a whole section of Africa.
They have
No.
that in your state, Virginia?
I'm not familiar with it.
Oh. I think it was higher up,
That's amazing.
Massachusetts.
Okay, so
I
now
wonder
here,
if mosquitoes will ever disappear.
well, the insect world is going on into extinction, just like everything. Look at the bees are going.
Some other things will die too there.
My quick story about mosquitoes is they tried to kill me in the Everglades in Florida.
It's probably such a dry.
No, they blinded me.
Wow.
I fell asleep, and a swarm of mosquitoes got to my face. I didn't have my net on. Next morning, couldn't see. You don't want to be in the Everglades with blind. So for 2 days, I'm in the Everglades. Gators, water moccasins, quicksand. Had to be really patient. I think get one eye. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I thought me and everybody's no problem. You'd be in a Chiricahua Apache medicine woman. So the 8th level is all about all these people that hate you on this planet. You don't know that. You don't know the Muslims hate you intensely. You don't know that. But they do. They hate anybody that doesn't think the way they do. We're called infidel. Okay? The Catholics have 2,600 forms of Christianity evolved out of Catholicism. They don't agree. And every one of them says everybody else is not true. Okay? And they hate each other. All that hatred, all that anger, all that rage, you don't know. Okay? And then those people die with that concept going, or maybe they're activating with some kind of spiritual practice and sending it to you. They can see you on the net. They can see me anywhere on the planet. Okay? So they could direct their negative energy just from that two-dimensional picture. They know I'm right here in quiet. And I told them. It's like putting on one of those Rolex watches and driving around in the Ferrari. You're a target.
So what's the solution to that?
Practice.
I mean, the solution in terms of like, there's an awareness that there are spirits that hate you.
You know that. If you're not aware of it, you know that. First is knowledge.
Enemy.
Enemy. They're called
Obstructor.
obstructors.
They want to, well, there's a whole
They
set.
want to take your life force, and they do.
And there's a whole set that just want to obstruct your practice. They just want to keep you from growing your back.
I see. And this is their motivation in this as
Compassion for them.
what?
Compassion for those.
But he's trying to figure out their motivation.
Their motivation.
Oh, their motivation. I don't want to know.
Get energy. They want to get energy.
Oh yeah, they want to get the energy. They want
And
your
that energy, it's sort of a concept of like a psychic energy.
Yeah, exactly. And you know that because you go around certain people and you feel drained after being with them.
Mm-hmm.
Those people fed on you.
Mm-hmm.
They took your energy because you were not aware of that they could do that.
Right.
Okay? You go to certain spots and inquire. They're called Heya.
Mm-hmm.
Don't walk into a Heya. Ever. You don't know what they did in that Heya. If they used animal and human sacrifice in that Heya, which some of them did, you'll be drained.
How do you know if you're drained?
You feel it.
Okay.
And sometimes, like,
Sometimes there might be some confusion.
yeah, they usually
Like a
call-
distortion.
Oh, then if you're confused, that's another sign.
Yeah.
They mess with your mental capability.
I see.
Yeah. No, this is no fool around. You get to this 8th level, now you're the doctor that knows the cause of disease,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
which
so
you don't. Most doctors don't know the cause. They're only dealing symptomatically. But now you're starting to know the cause. There are 8 causes of disease. Spirits, animals, and humans are the cause of disease.
Okay. So from a perspective of like in Judaism, there's this concept where like at the end of days, the devil, like the worst creature, will sort of repent.
Yeah.
Will. Okay. So there's like a concept of like God gives the devil, like in the book of Job, God gives the devil the permission to test mankind.
Actually, it gives them permission to do whatever you want.
Right. Well,
That's a very dangerous spirit, that one.
mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with devils? Because there's not just one. You know, they want to confine it down to one. I know better.
Mm-hmm. But in this world of manifestation, the devil is embodied in multiple bodies, basically.
It usually is. But usually the spirit energy is the worst embodied. Because it's the form. And form is emptiness and emptiness in form. And that really applies to the spirit world. It applies to us, but we don't understand our substantiality. We don't understand that this is just atoms moving around, okay, for a short period of time. We've agreed that this is okay.
So the wrathful deity of the
Or to
teach
deal
you how
with the
to-
wrathful
they
spirit.
teach you how to deal with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
See this? I put this
Because
out.
other,
On the medicine Buddha, you see those petals around him? On those petals, there are 8 causes of disease. 5 of them are your emotional affliction. The 5 categories. Attachment, aversion, pride, jealousy, and ignorance. Ignorance is also delusion. So those 5 are your cause of your disease. Dis-ease. An underlying feeling of discontent, no matter how good you have it with your Rolex and your Ferrari and your girlfriend.
Jesus cast out devils, right? So that's sort of like that conception of like, you know, like a person can be so good, so like pure and aware that devils will want to have nothing to do with this person.
You have to do just the opposite. You have to embrace them.
Yes. Oh.
My retinue of nasties. Like a crab. More coming. More coming. More coming. Never ending. More coming. Because they're everywhere. They're infinite.
Mhm.
And there's all these humans out there doing all their witchcrafty shit. They're doing almost exactly what we're doing. But no compassion. It's an I, me, mind practice they're doing. And they're calling these nasties, it's like inviting a herd of mosquitoes. Not a good idea. And then they direct them to certain people in certain places. They use them actually in war.
Mhm.
Okay? Our military doesn't know this yet. They're getting close. They don't know. They don't know the spirits control the weather. They don't know that yet. Okay? But they do. And what we've done on this planet as a human race, if you want to call it that, is we riled the spirits because we messed up the environment they live in. The earth, the water, the air, and the light energy, we've contaminated it totally. To the point where half of the world has gone extinct already. In Hawaii, 90%. Yes, we have more humans here, but the animals are gone. How do you deal with that? How am I going to garden if I don't have some cooperation from what controls the elemental nature of the garden? And they tell me what to do. They told me, yeah, go out and get a truckload of compost and put it in the garden and quit digging. They smuggle in 10,000 Texas regulars and put them in the garden and get out of the way. Leave the soil alone. Plant whatever you want. We'll take care of it. You know? I mean, I'd love to have a 40-foot marijuana plant in my backyard. But I can't, because somebody says you can't do that.
You don't use it anyway, so why do you care?
Yeah.
Funny,
See the medicine Buddha? He has a marijuana plant right here. He's holding that. See? See right there? Okay. Okay. The left hand, he's holding a bowl with what we call the elixir of infinite potential, the natural mind. Okay. With those two, the plants are to take care of your body. So food and everything else is your medicine. But your mind, you have to take care of that. You have to be able to have loving kindness and compassion. Now, we've gone up to number 8. Now, 8 is a big window. On this planet, we have maybe 10 to 20,000 people that are working with number 8. In shamanistic lamas. I think there's that many lamas on the planet, men and women. And they are skillfully working with number 8. And a few of their students. Okay, so that one, number 9, is what are you going to do with it when you leave the body? Okay, you got it all down now that you're a human and you're somewhat mature and you know all this weird woozy stuff. What are you going to do with it when you leave the body? You go into the spirit world. That's called the level of affirmation. So, I don't want to drag it on. There's a book about this thing. And what we do is we got,
Isn't a refuge prayer an affirmation?
yeah, this first prayer is an affirmation. The dedication prayers are all affirmations.
So we're already doing that.
Yeah, yeah. But this one says it 1,000 different ways.
This marks your mind.
It's called the Moan Law.
It marks your mind more.
Well, it's a group thing. So that all the lamas all over the planet of that lineage have the same affirmation. Okay, so there's power in that. There's power in that. It's like koa. It's like a big koa. Lava koa. That's number 9. Now we're getting to number 10. Now number 10 is a doozy. Accepting timelessness. Accepting. Being okay with that. Being okay with this never-ending story. No beginning, no end, no middle. Just like I described the nature of your mind. The path, the practice, and the accomplishment are all the same thing. They arise together. If you're doing one part, you've got all 3. That's called Mahamudra. That's way too easy. But number 10 is accepting that this is, in that every moment is a timeless experience. In the moment, you cannot find a present. In the moment, you cannot find a path. In the moment, there's no future. So why not get used to being in the moment of this energy program all the time? That's number 10. That takes all what we've been discussing tonight and brings it down to that little dot above the eye.
So earlier, number 6 was
That little dot?
So earlier, number 6 was natural mind. And timelessness is beyond.
No, timelessness means you're not identifying with time. On any level. That means day and night equal. That means the seasons are equal. Okay? That means the planetary arrangements, which are constantly changing, appearing and disappearing, equal. And
when you sort of not being affected or feeling happy when the sun is shining or feeling melancholy when it's raining.
Exactly.
All changes.
Yeah. You're not experiencing emotional dysfunction. You're not judging. You're not letting your thought process take you to the future or to the past. Why? Because the future hasn't happened yet and the past is gone.
That's different than what I just said, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a tendency for weather, just like if I walk outside, I might feel better. Or if I have the sunshine on me, I might feel better. If it starts to rain, certain associations might come to my mind, or I might want to rest or look out the window. Just sort of like in response to what's happening environmentally around me. So
when you get
That's kind of like all one taste.
it is one taste. It's called no more neediness. No neediness. Not being needy on any level. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Totally content. No regrets. That's timeless awareness.
So you're going to see the voidness of everything constantly.
And you
so
can
it doesn't
describe
make
that.
any difference if
You
it's shining,
described
if
it.
it's raining.
You applied it. You did. That's called an application of timeless awareness, which you described. You can apply it that way to everything. Mm-hmm. And as all of these different calamities arise, which they are increasing daily, On this planet, the calamities are increasing daily. If you look at California, all of California is on fire. Wow. These calamities are increasing daily. Why? Us. Spirits. No. Human. Spirits are just a side effect. Us. How we live, driving cars. Just driving cars riles them to no end.
I agree. I have this very, very.
And then we're glomming together. We become an urban society. Before we were all scattered out in the woods and forests and farms and everything. Now we're collecting 85 to 90% of all the humans are in cities with billions of cars. And then if that isn't bad enough, we got boats and airplanes and all these other we're filling the sky, filling the ocean. And then we have something that even the Tibetans didn't have a word for, geek. They had to make up a word. Geek. You know what geek is? Plastic.
He didn't know what it was. Well, his teacher didn't know what it was.
No, Lama Tenzin told me. He said, no, we don't know, we don't have a word for that. I said, we'll make up one. He says, geek. I says, what does that mean? He says, whatever you want it to mean. Apply it to plastic. The kind. The kind, good. It's the kind. Geek. Oh, okay. Geek.
That's funny.
Okay, so that's the 10 levels. Okay. And if you get all 10 of those through practice, you're a Buddha. Now there's 6 more levels of what do you do as a Buddha. Now you got to go see Lama Rinchen. Because I can't comprehend those 6 levels. But it's kind of like this. I'll give you an example. If you're a Buddha and you want to be helpful to human beings on the planet, you can emanate as many bodies of you as that Buddha on as many planets as you want. And you can be male or female. So if there's 1 million planets in your galaxy that are inhabited, you can emanate 1 million aspects of yourself using your imagination and your focus, which you were trained way down there at the Bodhisattva level, to do that.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Wow, that's like heaven's.
In a way that's applying to me the idea that people that are existing here are a manifestation of some entity, including myself.
No, it isn't that.
Could be. It could be.
It could be, but it's more manifest than that. It's like Shakyamuni Buddha 2,500 years ago, or the present day Dalai Lama. The present day Dalai Lama has 3 powers that we attribute to divine human beings. Divine entity, supernatural, God. He has those 3. I learned these as a Catholic. Omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. He has those 3. How do I know? Yes, how do you know? I spent 4 days with him in Hollywood, California. And he showed me.
How did you show you the omnipotent?
Well, I was in, you know where they have the Oscars? In Hollywood, they have this big theater where they present the Oscars. And that's where he was training at. 4 days. Me, Lama Rinchen, and my girlfriend, John. And a few hundred other people. It started out 6,000 people. The next day, 3,000. The next day, 1,500. The final day, maybe 300.
No one could handle it.
No, they couldn't handle it. Off the chart. And there was lamas there. Trungpa Rinpoche was there. Trungpa fills up in his big limousine with beautiful women dressed in white military uniform. 6 of them. One gets out of the car, opens the door. 2 of them carried him out of the car. The others are guards. And they take him into this, I forget the name of this big theater, down the middle aisle and put him up on the stage right next to the Dalai Lama. I was really impressed. Then the 6 girls, and they have shorts like this, low-cut blouses like Abby wears, and then military hats with epaulets, and all white, long legs up to their shoulders, long hair. Beautiful. And they stand like this.
It's guards.
Right in front of the stage. The Lama's up front. Lama Rinchen was up there. I was impressed. You and me, Trungpa. Because I've been listening to his tape. I never saw him before.
You're listening to Trumpa's tape?
I had Trumpa's tape. Sure.
Oh, wow. I used to work in his retreat center, his disciples' retreat center. What's his name? I forgot. In Creston, Colorado.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I had the fortune to go and straighten out his mess after he died. That was my job. Go to Boulder and straighten all that. He said, and then I had to send Mama Richard because I didn't want to go back. Yeah, good coffee there.
You know what I'm talking about, the one in Creston? His disciple?
Yeah.
His son, Nipan?
No.
Not me, Paul.
He used to be a professor at the university.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Mukti?
I think so. Mukti.
No, Mukti.
No.
No. Anyway, no, I don't know. I didn't make it to Creston. I did make it up to where he had his, they call Path of the Warrior. We up in Rocky Mountain National Park, 2 hours north of Boulder. I didn't make it up there. Into one of his psycho camps. I call them psycho camps.
We're digressing.
Huh?
Digressing.
We're digressing. So back to this. Okay, so when you get to this 10th level, the 10th level is where you started. When you take refuge, that's where you started. When you started with this prayer, that infinite sentient beings are the purpose for the practice, that's the 10th level of timeless awareness. Because infinite applies to time. No beginning, no middle, no end. Okay, so when you enter into this aspect of your consciousness that has the omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence, that's Mahamudra. Yeah, everybody has that. They just don't value it. So what's my job? Here we got the Lamatashi here. I'm an interpreter. I can't be a translator because I don't understand things. I mean, I have a handle on a few words. Big deal. But I have this quirk, which I've applied to everything since I was a little kid, is take all this information and congest it down into something that's appropriate to explain to others. It makes sense. It has to make sense. It has to be useful. It has to be modern. It has to be, here we are with these toys. Well, maybe aliens came and gave it to us. I don't know where all this stuff came from. It wasn't around when I was 40 years old. I usually have to get out of my car and put a quarter in the machine so I can keep on doing business. So here we are. Now, this infinite capacity to understand that everything you're doing is for everybody else is timeless awareness. Because that program isn't going to change. Infinite sentient beings are infinite sentient beings. They're everywhere. They're on all the planets that are habitable. There's animals and humans, and the spirits fill space. Well, that's a pretty big program. And it's not changing. It's the reason the Buddha came 2,500 years ago to get the ball rolling. Then, in the 15th century, Padmasambhava appeared in the Himalayan mountains as the second Buddha and took it all to Tibet. Then the Chinese came in and blasted it out of there, now it's all over the world. But how does a Lama that can't speak your language explain it to you how to use it? So that's what I've been dealing with for 40 years. I got Lama Rinchen and I got Lama Ten. They can't speak English. Yeah, I'll take care of you. Come on over here. He can't even tell me what kind of sugar he wants. He didn't want sugar in his coffee, he wanted salt. That's the way they did it in Tibet. They're cheap.
That woman.
Wow. Generosity, morality, patience, perseverance, meditating focus. Anybody can do that. Almost anybody. But when you move into the path of skillful means doing the sutra or tantric practices, you have to have a Lama. And you have to receive the transmission. Anybody can use these 5 elements because they're universal, they're infinite. Okay? They are the cause, symptomatic remedy for healing. So anybody can use those. But when you go into the deity and you apply the dakinis to these 5 elements, then you need a Lama for the transmission because now you're starting to deal with the spirit. And there's codes, just like for the TV, just like for your computer. You got a logarithm. You start with the seed syllable, then you have the mantra, then you have the imagination of the mandala you're creating. And it has to be the way it's been done for thousands. That's what this book symbolizes. There's the way it's shown. This has been around a long time. That's how they did all this art. That's how they made these statues. Did I buy these? No. They showed up. It's really weird. That one showed up at our door in this house. Those 2 showed up at the last place.
We didn't even know who.
We didn't even know
who that
there's a
came
box
from
there with this funny statue.
for a whole year. We didn't know who sent it.
Someone
And finally,
gifted it
Lama
to you.
Tempa cop that he did it.
He said, "Oh, I sent you that."
Yeah, this is after he came over and empowered and all the stuff we've been doing with the stupid. I mean, I got pictures on the wall. Why didn't you tell us that up front? He said, "This is more fun this week." Okay, Lama.
That's right.
Keep you guessing. In order to attain enlightenment for ourselves and limitless sentient beings or others, we now altogether take refuge. When you end your practice, you dissolve all of your practice into nothing in your heart center and just sit there. No judgment. Did it do this? Did it do that? All the things you said in your prayer, all the mantras you did, don't identify with them. Don't attach to them. Just do it. And get out of the way and let that other nature of your mind work it out here. Somehow, some way. You don't have to direct it. You don't have to be the boss. In our house, there's no boss. Except Adam. And sometimes we now we dedicate the virtue of this practice, both aspects. All that deals with the drama and all that deals with the natural mind. All of that. Kewa di nirdu da, chagya champo du girne, chowa shenge ma. Day Sala Gopasho,
Sanjay Kusho Nepa Jim Manta, Chorne Modu Depa Jim Manta, Kendu Miche Dumpa Jim Mamsi, Sita Gowa Moam Jupaso.
By this virtue of having realized,
may I quickly establish all beings without a single exception in this state.
By the
Through the
blessing of
blessing of
the
the
three
Buddha,
bodies of the Buddha being
to
accomplished,
attain the three bodies, through the blessing
of the truth of the Dharma itself being unchanging,
through the
by the blessing of the wishes of us, the stronger being unwavering, may this and all dedication
and prayers be fulfilled.
May all the lamas have long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity, and may all their wishes be fulfilled. May all beings have happiness, the cause of happiness, be away from suffering, and establish the non-judgmental mind, equanimity. Tuchi Jay, thank you. Mahalo.